Okay, good evening, members, and welcome to the employment meeting. Okay, members and officers, thank you for your attendance. Apologies, I have brought a cold home back with me from a very cool holiday last week, but anyway, I hope it won't cause any problems. So can we commence with the apologies, please?
We have an apology from Councillor Corley, Chair.
Thank you. And moving on to the minutes of the meeting in June. Okay. Does anybody have any points to raise? Okay. Councillor Davenport-Ray.
I'm going to have to credit Councillor Keane with this one, but I think at some point in the minutes it refers to many instead of the month of May.
Okay. Thank you. Well spotted. I did request an update on the cost of membership at One Leisure for our staff, and there will be a correction within the final minutes.
So that correction will be to delete the word free and insert at a reduced rate.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Are there any further points to raise from the minutes? Everybody happy that I sign those off as a true and correct record? Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Can you just initial the front page as well, please? Just because it's a different piece of paper. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 3, agenda item 2, members' interests. Are there any interests that members wish to disclose? Thank you. Okay. And next agenda item 3, the Workforce Information Report, Quarter 1, 2024-2025. Can I pass over to Kieran? No? Leanne. Thank you.
Awesome. So that one's on.
Thank you. Apologies. Nikki, who usually presents the report, has left Huntingdonshire District Council, but she's kindly created the report for us. So I'll present the Quarter 1 workforce information data to you and try to answer questions if there are any on this. We've continued to evolve the report, but again, if you have any feedback on what we include, please let us know and we'll make sure we factor that in for next time. In terms of the headlines, at the end of Quarter 1, the workforce had a headcount of 653 and a full-time equivalent FTE total is 597. This is an increase from the end of the previous quarter. In terms of our pay bill, forecasted spend on all pay costs for employees is currently estimated to be a budget overspend, but as this is the first quarter, we're expecting things to change and we'll obviously update going forward. For our leavers, 28 employees left the council in Q1, and this was higher than in the last quarter, which was 20 employees. The percentage turnover for the 12 months was 13.4%, and this was higher than the last quarter at 12.4%. This is the first time our turnover has increased in 5 quarters. As part of this, we've had 4 retirements with a combined service of 85 years between them.
Thank you, Leanne. That is quite a long, it's a huge length of the service, and obviously we convey our very best wishes to these 4 excellent employees for providing that, and wish them very best for their retirement. Thank you.
For our recruitment activity has significantly increased from last quarter. This is in part due to the One Leisure review that's been conducted earlier this year. We've seen 17 internal offers, which demonstrates our commitment to growing our own internal talent. As reported last quarter, we've been closely monitoring our new LinkedIn adverts, and this is showing early promise. I'm delighted to report that over the last quarter, we achieved 195,000 impressions. Number of times content is displayed on someone's screen, 10,578 job views, and 741 total apply clicks. This is very encouraging, and we'll continue to use all the tools at our disposal to grow our LinkedIn network. At the last meeting, we shared with you our planning recruitment video that was created as part of the planning recruitment campaign. I'm pleased to share with you that we've been shortlisted for the Best Innovation in Recruitment Award for the annual LGC, Local Government Chronicle, Workforce Awards. We have to wait till November to find out how well we have done, but we're hopeful that we will do well in these awards. As part of this, we're also making our recruitment campaigns more agile. We're making sure that we're spreading the talent where we can when we're recruiting to roles. If we feel that people are suitable for different roles, we're then recommending these to the recruiting managers. This means that our recruitment timescales are significantly cut, and we're making sure that we're making the use of the talent that we are identifying as part of our recruitment programmes. For our staff engagement, as you've already heard, we've undertaken a significant amount of engagement across the whole of HDC into the workforce strategy. As briefly mentioned last time, we've launched the iCare Awards nomination process, and this is now to be open all year for nominations to ensure that we're capturing staff throughout the year for all the good work that they're doing. We've launched the AVCY scheme to all staff, and we'll be making first payments in September. In fact, that's just been a success, and we've just made the first payments to everybody. We've had a total of 18 staff sign up for this benefit, and we're continuing to promote it for any other staff that want to sign up for it. Our upgraded learning management system is due to be launching to all staff in late September. This will allow us to deliver more training to staff and to give us a better oversight of the training that's been completed. In terms of our sickness summary, an annual average of sickness days have increased from 8.2 days per full-time employee to 8.6 days. Short-term sickness again has decreased from 472 days to 449. Long-term sickness days continues to be high, although the number of days have stayed the same. Long-term sickness is being managed through managers, and people are being supported to a successful conclusion. We've also factored in a new step into our process, so the cases that are not being managed as proactively as we would like are now being escalated to the relevant SLT leads to assist with supporting managers to progress them. We're hopeful that will have a positive impact on our sickness figures. From case management, we have seen that some long-term sick cases have come to a conclusion, which will start to show on the figures. And we're also now providing a more detailed data to SLT on absence so they can ensure appropriate management action is taken. As can be seen from our case reporting stats, sickness casework remains our highest and has increased in the previous quarter. This shows the active management around sickness in an effort to support our employees to remain in work. The top level of sickness this quarter was personal stress, followed by gastro issues such as stomach bugs. HR caseload. Again, in this quarter, HR caseload has increased, and this is driven by a number of absence cases coming to a conclusion and higher than usual disciplinary cases. So that's a general review of our report, and obviously we're happy to answer any questions you've got on it.
Thank you, Leanne. We have a question from Councillor Davenport-Ray. Thank you.
Before I get to my question, Leanne, I wanted to say congratulations on the nomination for the Workforce Award. I think that's really well deserved. And also, I'm really happy to hear about the online training, software upgrade, especially our ability to add in and take out different modules like the carbon literacy, I think we'll be able to do soon. But my question is about the pay bill. And you mentioned that we're only in Q1, but at the moment we're expecting, I think it's 1 million when you put together both employees and contractors. But that because we're at the first quarter, we think that's probably something we can address. What things are we going to do to try to mitigate that over the rest of the 3 quarters?
If I may, Chair. So we already have a system where before vacancies are able to be advertised, they come through SLT in terms of assessing whether there is still a need to the business or whether they can be streamlined. So that continues to be an ongoing review of the need for recruitment. I think also the pay bill also reflects the higher number of external funding that we're delivering in-house as well at the moment. So we draw in contractor work as well, which is also represented in some of the figures. But we have got that controls. And I think the other thing to reference, we have also included a new aspect to our vacancy management request forms, which says, what are you doing to transform the service? So we're not looking to replace like for like. We're wanting to see how the impact of that post and its recruitment has an impact on continuous service delivery, but also linking into productivity and efficiencies.
Thank you. Are there any further comments or questions? Okay, Councillor Jordan, thank you.
Yes, with your apprenticeships, which I'm a great advocate of, I mean, how long are the apprenticeships? Do they vary? Do they go 2 years, 3, 5? If you could just give us a flavour about that, please.
It really depends on the course. We have some that start at 12 months and others that go through to 3 years. And obviously our apprenticeships are mixed between new employees that we're bringing in under the apprenticeships scheme and also our existing employees who we're encouraging to further develop to do apprenticeships alongside their day-to-day work. So it depends on really what level of apprenticeship we're looking at. Depends on the length of how long it is.
Sorry. And just another one where it says about employment engagement. I think that is really, really good. And I could see some of it was linked up in the next report where you're going out to colleges and everything and that. And I think that's forward planning, which is really good to hear about. And hopefully we'll see the fruitation of that later on in the year when it comes to it. Thank you anyway.
Hey, Councillor Cadway, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm very impressed on 1.7, which is recruitment metrics, that the existing HDC members are being promoted to other areas as well. I think it's a very good plan to do that. My question is, are they being encouraged or they just apply as normal?
So it's a mixture. We're obviously working at developing our own talent, so we're trying to identify our talent a lot sooner and make clear career pathways obvious to members of staff. Equally, we have members of staff who see roles out of their usual service areas and are applying for it. So I would say the majority of it is our career pathways and our talent development. Is the work we've been doing over a number of months is now starting to show a bit of fruition.
Councillor Davenport-Ray, thank you.
In the report section on accidents, it appears that we had one accident this quarter, which was a fall from a height. That's quite worrying. I'm wondering, maintaining the confidentiality of who was involved, what kind of things would we be doing to mitigate that risk happening in future?
So the specific situation around that was that somebody was doing some manual work near a shallow ditch and fell into the ditch. So it was classed as a fall from height because it was up to a 2 metre fall. We obviously investigated the situation, investigated the accident, and made sure that the right reporting methods had happened. It was reported to the first aider. We did risk assessments on it, and everything had been done. It was just an unfortunate accident, unfortunately, that couldn't have been prevented, but everything had been, it was encouraging to see that all the right processes happened to follow it. The member staff was wearing the right PPE for the activities that he was undertaking, but they have gone out and re-risk assessed the area to make sure that it's up to date and there's nothing more further we can do to support.
Councillor Keane, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, it's a question that's based on a specific incident, but obviously, as Councillor Davenport ran, I'm not asking you anything specifically. In One Leisure, there was an incident. I was actually in the gym at the time where one of the gym users had, shall we say, quite a serious medical episode. I think it's where the ambulance was called. Very stressful for the staff, and I know that we have a lot of young staff, a lot of not on full-term contracts. Obviously, they're probably, I'm not sure what the kind of counselling is that goes around that in that situation, and do we feel that we have a robust enough to deal with those situations? Because it was quite stressful, I think, for everybody involved, and I was very worried at the time. I did mention it to one of the exec officers, but as it's now on this report, I would be kind of keen to know what we've done since that, and if we feel that our protocols and policies are full enough for those situations.
If I may answer that, that's quite timely because we've actually been talking to some of the management at One Leisure today and operations in relation to support for staff that we could offer. And I'll talk about it a little bit later when I talk about the workforce strategy as well. But we've actually been talking about incident support and counselling and group counselling that staff might need, access to helplines that they can use to actually offer them support when they've witnessed something like that or had an experience like that.
Michelle, thank you.
Thank you. If the members haven't got any more questions on that specific point, would you allow me just to speak to a couple of those items, please, Chair?
Of course, thank you.
Thank you. So I just want to give a perspective as in my role as Head of Paid Service and just to pick up some of the points that Leanne raised. So the first thing I'm going to mention is the iCare Award nominations, and Councillor Davenport-Ray referenced that earlier on. That has a really positive impact on the workforce because, as Leanne said, rather than just focusing on one quarter's nominations, I often liken it to the Oscars. You forget the films that you saw earlier on in the year and you only think about the films that you saw towards the end before the Oscar nominations. So this means that staff are being nominated throughout the period. It also means that we talk about our values more regularly, and that is becoming embedded in the conversations we have, which again, these values are so important to us as an organisation for our workforce, as well as our customers and our stakeholders. As a matter of point, I get to see all of the nominations, and I can tell you it's with immense pride that I can see how people speak of and refer their colleagues. And it is incredibly, I feel very privileged that I'm in that position to see all those nominations that come in. And I want to say to you, just the way that people recognise and value their work colleagues, it goes to the heart again of how important our workforce are in terms of delivering our core services to our communities. Just touching on the recruitment aspect, HDC has a very strong recruitment brand at the moment, and you've seen the statistics that Leanne has referenced within the report, particularly around LinkedIn. Now, we recognise, and if I may say, that's a really forward-thinking aspect of the way that the recruitment and HR are operating, again, with our service managers and senior officers, because we are recognising that more and more people are not looking to traditional places of where they find their recruitment. As an example, if I was a continuing lawyer in a normal legal role, I would still probably look to the Law Society Gazette. Having said that, that's now being trumped by a local government lawyer, an online provision. So we see more and more of prospective workforce are accessing LinkedIn as a tool to find those roles. And because of some of the, the branding that Michael and the communications team do regarding what goes out on LinkedIn, because of the way officers use LinkedIn as a place marketing tool, the brand of HDC is very strong, and we are seeing that on the number of applications, quality applications that come in through when those posts are advertised, and that's really positive for us. So whilst you may see that we have some levers, actually the recruitment is strong. We're not seeing that we can't recruit to posts and having to go out. So I think that's, again, just something to reflect on. Picking up Councillor Jordan on the apprenticeship, we really do value our apprentices, and something we're working towards now is having a more formal event. So we started off this year during Apprentice Week to have the lunch, which you did attend as well, I believe. I recall you being there, I'm sure. We're looking to do something more slightly larger, and working in partnership with the college to link in their apprentices, but also the private sector as well. So we can hold something that is a real celebration and create a networking opportunity for apprentices. Again, within their career pathway, it's important that you're able to find peers, not necessarily in your own organisation, who become that external support group who you can knock ideas off with, and that strengthens the support that we can provide apprentices. So look out for that, as the project team is due to commence on that, and Jules in HR is a key member clearly of that. But there's a small project team that will support that event as well. And lastly, I think I'll leave it there, actually. I think I've covered all the points I wanted to pick up, but I just wanted to give that from head of paid service in terms of where that the reporting that Leanne and Nick has pulled together. We are in a really strong position in terms of that, and you'll hear more, and I'll dip in later as Kieran updates on some of the equalities and also the workforce strategy. So thank you, Chair, for your indulgence.
Thank you, Michelle. We appreciate your input, and also the fact that the council is seen as such a strong brand in the workplace. I think there's been quite a transformation in the recruitment activity. I realise that it's involving extra work for the team, but to see us sort of becoming more probably being perceived so well in the market is fabulous to see, and obviously appreciate the apprenticeships, which is wonderful endorsement. So thank you all. Okay, are there any further questions or comments to raise on the report? Okay, thank you. Now it is over to Kieran now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Workforce Profile Action Plan. Thank you.
So at the last Employment Committee, a report was shared with an annual summary of the profile of the workforce of HDC as at 31st of March 2024 by protected characteristics defined under the Equality Act. It was agreed that we would analyse the information against census data, which would help us evaluate how representative our figures are and help draw up an action plan for this committee for areas for improvement. The report goes through each of the protected characteristics, comparing against the census data, outlining things we're doing well and where we can improve. You will see from the report, even in the areas where we appear to be reflective of the census data, we have still identified actions, as there's always room for improvement. I will go through a summary of some of the findings for the bigger categories, but full details on all the characteristics are included in the report, including the things we're doing well. So in terms of gender, at the last committee, we took on board the feedback regarding the gender category, and I've now changed this to gender identity. The split appears to be fairly reflective of the census data and local demographic. We did identify that more work can be done around some of our pledges, especially menopause, and I'm actually pleased to say that since I submitted this report and in this week, we've been doing quite a lot of work in this area. So we've already made contact with an organisation that can provide our staff access to free sessions each month, and they're on various different topics around menopause. So they have different speakers in from pharmacists, nutrition and diet, yoga, meditation, and cover different topics. So we will be looking to advertise those to our staff so that they can access that virtually for free. We'll also be making contact with speakers in relation to menopause awareness as well, and tying that into some of the work that we want to do around Menopause Awareness Day in October. So I'm quite pleased to be able to share that with you, because obviously we've progressed quite a bit from when this was submitted. Just moving on to disability, the data demonstrates that compared to those that are employed, HDC employs a higher percentage of people that have shared they have a disability compared to the census data. There are some actions in relation to this, and they also cross over with the workforce strategy, and that's to explore with IT a dyslexia-friendly font standard so that all emails can be in the correct size, justified appropriately and using the correct font. We're also looking to explore Mindful Employer Charter, and this charter is about taking positive approach to mental health at work. With sexual orientation category, there's a limited data on this internally and externally to compare, but with the data HDC have, it still appears to be reflective of the local demographic. This area does need some focus on the sharing rate in relation to the education around what the categories mean to help increase that. And so we will be doing that and looking at reports where we can individually go out to staff members and use some definitions. So hopefully we'll see an increase in that category. For ethnicity, whilst the data has improved, we don't have the data for all our employees, so 13%. Therefore, it can make it difficult to do direct comparisons, but we will see more work in this area that will be done through the workforce strategy too. Overall, we appear to be quite reflective of our local demographic. So I just wanted to move on to an overview of last year's action plan and moving forward. So last year we had 28 actions, and you'll see from the report that 20 of those have been completed and 8 are to be carried over. So a number of the ones that are carried over, again, sorry to keep referencing it, but there is just such a link between the workforce strategy and what has actually happened is with the engagement sessions that have taken place over the last 12 months to develop that strategy, we've actually been able to hear a bit more from staff about what they want. So that's why they've both fed into each other. So do excuse the number of times I keep referring to it. So 4 new actions have also been added this year. But we haven't put loads on there because of the workforce strategy, and also because our we do appear quite reflective of our demographic. One of the overarching actions we'll continue work on is the data capture that I've already talked about. And the last thing I just wanted to share with you around this is that we're pleased to let you know that a new raising concerns policy is also going to be introduced. So this will amalgamate our bullying and harassment policy and our grievance policy into one. And so that will make it a lot more easier for staff and managers to use. And so you will see that coming to the next committee. So happy to take any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Kieran. So essentially a refresh of the annual report, but I really appreciated the fact that you added in your enhancements, and obviously there's the considerable benefits from the workforce strategy feeding through, and some extra detail in there with the disability issues and the LGBT and your intention to attend Cambridge Pride next year. So I think going a little bit further, it's really, really appreciated, and as I say, hopefully valued by the employees who requested it via the workforce strategy. Thank you. Okay, so can I invite any comments or questions? Councillor Jordan, thank you.
Yes, I liked this very much. I liked it. I thought it was very clear, concise. I thought it set out the aims and the outcomes. So it's that communication, isn't it? You're communicating clearly what the outcomes are, but also clearly what your aims are, how you're going to go forward with it. And yeah, and it was easy to read. It was easy to cross-reference and things like that. So I thought this was a very, very good piece of work for those, should be commended who have been working on this. Thank you.
Councillor Jordan, are there any other comments or questions or points to raise? Thank you, Michelle.
If I may, if there aren't any more comments from members, just to put this into national context as well, we are expecting a heavy legislative change coming through with the new government around employee rights and workforce changes, and one of those is around again an evolution of the equal pay framework, which very much has been based on gender differentials within the workforce. What is likely to emerge, and it will emerge, is around pay differentials based on ethnicity. So the work that the team do and have done in providing this report to you on a regular basis means that we have really good benchmark data. We're already looking at some of the challenges and how to improve the equality and the level playing field within our organisation, which puts us in a really strong position to be able to respond proactively and positively to those emerging, and when they come through, new legislative requirements that will be based upon us as an employer. It also, as Kieran says, all roads lead back to workforce strategy. It also means that we are, again, recognised in the recruitment market as being an employer that people would be drawn to, because these are things we already do, we already view as important for our workforce. And again, that becomes part of the attraction, recruitment and retention theme in the workforce strategy pillars. So I think it's just helpful to have that in that national context as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Michelle. Conclude. Oh, Councillor Howell, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. It was just a question about, we talked about equality. Are we going to be trying to move towards equity as well, as opposed to equality?
Yes, that has been, I think it's fair to say that equity has been, I would say certainly the last 2 to 3 years, local government has been in that space. And again, it is something that the team, particularly Kieran, is acknowledging. And there's a really good infographic that defines and shows the differentials between equality and equity. And it's shoes, which obviously would appeal to me with my liking of shoes. But it talks about, we say giving people, making someone who doesn't have a pair of shoes, give them a pair of shoes, then that gives them equality. But actually, equity is a pair of shoes that fits, because it's no good having you've got a pair of shoes, you're in a level playing field. But actually, a pair of shoes that fits is true equity, because that unleashes their opportunity. And there's a few of those infographics around, but they really, I like those because they really demonstrate what we talk about when what is the difference between equality and equity. And it's all very saying, well, we've made access. And I think another example is when you see wheelchair access. So often when you go to events and there's wheelchair access, well, that's great, but if there's still a fence in front of you that obscures your view, you've got access, but you haven't got equity. So definitely, Councillor Howard, we're really in that space. And again, that's a very fast-moving field as well.
Thank you. Oh, Councillor Cadwell.
Thank you, Chair. Just for what you have said, Michelle, about the changes that might come down because of the change of the government, I just wanted to know how much the union are involved in our council here, and are there too many members of the staff who are also members of the unions?
Thank you, Councillor Kedaway. We have very positive relationships with our union. So, and obviously our ERG. In fact, we haven't got anyone from our ERG here tonight. So I meet bi-monthly. We have done with Nikki, but we'll be with Leanne now. So we meet bi-monthly with the union reps and our ERG reps. And we have open agendas. It's a matter for anybody to put anything on that agenda. And we have very free discourse. So again, I would say that we have strong relationships. So again, nationally, Unison will be very aware of the proposed changes. But again, there are things that we're more than happy and we do. And again, if I may say, back to all roads lead to workforce strategy, no pressure, Kieran. We talk every bi-monthly meeting around the workforce strategy and how that is being delivered. because it's really important that our workforce, through those two forms of engagement, through the Unison, through the union and ERG, are aware and can see what is happening, as well as all the comms that goes around the building as well, in terms of whether that's posters, emails, etc., engagement comes through their line managers, etc. But yes, I would not foresee any difficulties in terms of working with our partners, our Unison partners. And indeed, our main regional rep has left in September, but we have, he's leaving, sorry, the end of September. But I have an introductory meeting with the new rep as a transition, so that, again, we can start that positive relationship again for the benefit of the workforce. I don't know if Leanne, you want to add anything more to that?
Okay, are there any further comments or questions? Okay, moving on to agenda item 5, workforce strategy update. Kieran, to provide us with a verbal update. Thank you.
Thank you. So just wanted to give you a verbal update on what's been happening really with the workforce strategy. So I've actually started in a new role as project manager to deliver the actions from the workforce strategy. And I've actually got someone who's working with me, Chloe George, and she's going to be supporting me on delivering them. We both started in middle of August this year, so we've been in those new posts for about 3 to 4 weeks. And one of the things I'd say is what I'm really excited about with this, and for staff as well, and I did share this at an all-staff briefing, is that a lot of the time when you see a workforce strategy being created, you have someone just in a room who will create it on their own, and it's then saved on their intranet site, and that's kind of the end of it. But what's been really nice here is that actually staff's views have been taken into account with all the engagement sessions to actually feed into creating that strategy and then the actions that have come out of it. And what's even better after that is that that's still not just gone on the intranet and that's the end of it. There's actually resources and time that's been put in place by having myself and Chloe now to actually deliver the actions that come off the back of that. So it's really nice that there's such a commitment now to make that come to life. So just to update you in terms of what's been happening during this time. So there's 49 overarching actions to the workforce strategy. When you break them down, there's 110. But in terms of those 49, we've actually been reviewing them in terms of what's already completed, what's in progress, what needs to start. And we've found from that 7 of those actions, we've got to a stage where they're completed, but they just need a little bit more communication around that. There's 11 that are in progress, and we've got 31 that are to start. And I will make sure that I share a copy of that action plan with you, and I'll circulate that via Tony. Having done the analysis, we're currently finalising the priorities with SLT, and the plan is that I will be able to share that with yourselves and the staff about the first 5 priorities that we need to focus on. But one of the other things we just want to take into account with that is our staff survey that we've got at the moment, so all that feedback is taken on board. In terms of the work that's been done by myself and Chloe and others in the council, I'll just take you through some of these to give you a bit of an idea. So like I said, the staff temperature check survey, that's actually closed on Monday, and that will give us an idea of how staff are feeling at this current point in time. The hope being that when we do that temperature check survey, again, what we'll see is that engagement will have increased as initiatives are implemented. We're also doing work on developing a comms plan to bring that strategy to life. So we will be in the next few weeks going around to different sites to meet the staff and talk to them about the strategy, the different initiatives that we're looking to implement, and just to really talk to them about what they want to get involved in as well. We're working with managers for non-wired staff as well to understand the best way to communicate the different initiatives with their staff, because there will be a lot coming out. We've had Pensions Awareness Week last week, and we've been promoting that. Linked to that, you've heard us talk about the additional voluntary contribution scheme that we launched in August. And we'll be doing more promotional work in that as well, and a bit more bespoke promotion so that staff can see a little bit more about what it means for themselves. This week as well, we've been launching the Taste Card. So this is a 2-for-1 card on restaurants, discounts on cinema days out. And so we're really pleased to get that as a corporate membership for staff at a discounted rate. We're also looking at employee assistance programme providers. So we've currently got one in place, and that is something that gives our staff counselling, it gives them legal support. But in terms of looking at that at the moment and what else is out there, it's looking really promising. We're working on Microhive, so that's you might have heard of that as pennies from heaven in the past. So this is an opportunity for our staff to use any spare pennies in their salary, and they can then donate that to a local charity. So Chloe and our team's actually working with those that contribute to that to decide what local charity they'd like to contribute to and promote that scheme further. I've talked a bit about menopause awareness already, so I won't say much more about that. But Menopause Awareness Day is on 18th of October. We've also talked about iCare and the nomination period being opened up around that. And I suppose the only thing I'd like to add around that is that, again, that has come directly out of what staff has told us through the engagement session. So it's through listening to staff that we've then put that in place. We've also got the equality actions and the work around that. And just in relation to what we talked about earlier with equity as well, it is something that we will be looking to involve staff with. The raising concerns policy that I talked about earlier, I just wanted to flag with that as well, that whilst you will see that very soon, again, it's a collaborative piece. So we're working with ERG, we're working with Unison, we're working with managers, just to understand, what's gone well in the past, what hasn't, what could we do better. We're also sourcing discounts for employees as well. So we're going to be communicating them with staff, the new ones. So we've sourced some new ones over the last few weeks. We've got a new ICO video that's being created, and we will bring that to you as well to show you that. We've got work being done on a corporate narrative to feed into the employee value proposition. So this is our story and our brand around HDC. We've got the comms team that are heavily involved in that piece of work. We've got a new employee handbook that is being finalised. So the last one we had was quite out of date, but we've taken steps now to combine the code of conduct with that as well. I'd also say that a lot of these initiatives, they're not just a two-person thing, not just myself and Chloe. This is like a team effort. It's a lot of people in the organisation, but these are all initiatives that feed into what we're trying to achieve through the workforce strategy. So we've got staff that are putting on a Macmillan coffee morning as well. We've got staff involved in developing the Christmas party. Other things that we've got going on, we've had health checks that have happened with staff, and they were very popular, and we're looking to put more dates on. We've got flu vaccinations that are happening. And the last one I've put on my list is about the planning microsite that we talked about earlier that's been nominated. So a real team effort again from recruitment, planning and comms. In terms of the next steps, I've talked about the temperature check survey. So we need to do the analysis around that now that it's closed, and we'll be communicating that with managers and staff. We've got the road shows I've talked about for the workforce strategy. So that's really getting that strategy out there, bringing it to life. And then the agreement on communication on the 5 priorities. So happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Kieran. That's a very comprehensive report, and it's wonderful that your team and the staff are embracing the workforce strategy. That's really clear and evident. And as you sort of touched on, sometimes these initiatives they can fall away, but obviously you're very driven and determined to sort of roll it out for the benefit of all. So I welcome that wholeheartedly, and we offer you our support. Thank you. Just a quick point on the pennies from heaven, because obviously I think we've all sort of been offered these schemes with employers. Can you actually donate to a local charity via that?
Yes, you can. Yes, so
Thank you.
that's why we're going to actually get the staff who contribute to actually choose.
Great, thank you. Systems have improved time. Wonderful. Applaud you for your efforts. Keep going. Good luck. Thank you. And we look forward to obviously hearing more updates at the next meeting, and obviously post-analysis of the staff temperature check survey as well. Thank you. Any questions or comments on Kieran's report?
I'll just make a comment to say your enthusiasm is overflowing, I think, and it comes through. So well done to you, actually.
Michelle, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. If I may just give my Head of Paid Service overview. I think what I would like members to really take away is we really did listen during the debate as officers at full council, when there was a real concern from members that we wouldn't resource this workforce strategy, having done all the fantastic staff engagement, that we needed to make sure the resourcing to delivery, the actions from that, in order to ensure that the expectation of our workforce, which had been raised during the staff engagement sessions, and indeed this was something that was picked up by the peer challenge in May, that there was a clear expectation from the focus groups when they met our workforce that the workforce strategy would deliver and deliver quickly. And as Kieran has said, there are some really quick wins we can make, and there are some projects that will take longer and move into that medium-term approach. But I think because we've been able to, again, coming back to recruitment, we've two examples. We have internal talent in terms of Kieran that we've been able to promote in terms of being into this role. And I know this is something that Kieran is very passionate. So Councillor Jordan, you have clearly seen that and it's evident. But also we were able to do some really agile recruitment in terms of Chloe George, who has joined us. And actually that means that we've got 2 officers dedicated to delivering those actions. And I think that you will see again at the next employment committee the progress that is being made. Michael Hand's team have just successfully recruited a new internal communications officer. They've had a period of absence from a staff member in the team. That post will come on board they join us in December. That will add the strength in terms of being able to communicate this and the actions from what Kieran and Chloe are doing, so we can make sure that permeates across not just Pathfinder House, but Eastfield and all of our One Leisure, to make sure all of our workforce feel they are seeing and hearing what is happening with the action plan. And again, coming back to that, sensing the staff survey, that's another key piece that we will factor in. But I really want you to hear as members, we did listen, we heard that, and I hope you can see the actions are in place to mitigate those concerns that you had.
Thank you, Michelle. Yes, we wholeheartedly appreciate your work and efforts, and as Councillor Jordan said, your enthusiasm for the strategy and your determination to improve for all the benefit of all employees. So thank you, and good luck ongoing. Are there any other points to raise on this agenda item? Okay, thank you. Final item is our representatives, and we do not have any attendees this evening. Okay, so if we could just close the meeting, could I just ask you to sort of remain in place for a moment, please? Thank you.